Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering. Here we have Entomb's Day on the right side. This will be, I think... Oh, it's Cursed Prison. Sorry. We have a Leyline of the Void along with Chrome Mox and a Trinisphere on the first turn. A pretty brutal start here. I believe Peter is on Esper Vial on the other side. The marquee will get updated shortly. So yeah, James on Cursed Prison. And Peter on Esper Vial. I wonder if those names are backwards. They might be. I apologize if they are. I'll just refer to them as printed for the matchup here. A City of Traders going into the bin as James builds his mana base. Now back up to 3 mana. Couple of swamps. Wasteland would not have had another target. However, it would have gone away thanks to these swamps. Cavern of Souls now comes out alongside Karn. Peter fetching in response to likely get the 3 mana to Force of Will or Force of Negation. Just hard casting Force of Negation would be nice. No, he's got a Force of Will pitching Brainstorm. It's amazing how many matchups having a cancel in your main deck ends up being really good. The 5 mana for Force of Will can be tough to come by when you're not using its alternate casting cost. And a Hushbringer, a 3 mana play, making use of his mana. And it turns sideways, so despite a Trinisphere, Peter now starting to move forward. He uses a Baleful Strix to draw a card. And Curse of Death's Hold, that is going to shrink the team big time. That's going to enchant Peter, kill Baleful Strix, and make it so this Hull Breacher is only going to do 2 damage at a time. Cursed Prison has a devastating combination of cards that effectively just wipe out anything that your opponent is going to be doing creature-wise, turning all of the creatures into 1/1s with no abilities, and then giving all creatures -1/-1. Essentially removing creatures from the game. We've got a Palace Jailer, so Peter's going to be the Monarch and outdraw James 2-1. We'll see if that's enough. Tough to really gauge who's winning this match. If Peter is continually tapped out, it's going to be really difficult to stop that eventual just game-winning bomb that James is likely to cast. Ideally, he'd be able to play things more in James's end step, things like Hull Breacher, just casting them, getting down an Aether Vial, activating that. Anything is safer than just tapping out in the face of a Trinisphere. And now a Meddling Mage, that can give him some relief. We'll see if they name the card on screen. Doesn't look like we've got it. Curse of Misfortunes would be a likely one. That is actually going to tutor up a new curse every turn, eventually locking out all of the creatures and then finding a win condition as well. Curse of Misfortune, just a really slow way of handling that. We've got a Swords to Plowshares stopping this opposition agent. And that would be that 3 mana there, I believe, is the... And now there's Curse of Misfortune. So it looks like James benefiting from the fact that Peter not familiar with this list. Curse of Misfortunes is going to be a devastating combination, which we'll actually get to see on camera, which is pretty cool. Still pushing through damage down to 7. James's upkeep's going to be bad news if Peter doesn't have some way of interacting. Here we go. It's a heck of a way to learn about the deck. All the creatures are 1/1s. And now they're all 0/0s. Get them in the graveyard. And let's see if Peter even has a way out of this at this point. I mean, it's prison for a reason. The next curse trigger is probably going to give Peter all the information he needs. Looks like he may have cast a creature directly into exile. Cast, enters the battlefield, dies as a state-based effect. And now it's going to be 5 damage a turn. Thanks to this final curse. Everything's Voltron together. And I believe Peter is probably going to be scooping it up here. That Curse of Misfortunes really is a ridiculous card to be naming with Meddling Mage, but I mean, that's pretty much where you have to be in this situation. That the card just is the deck. I mean, that is actually how the whole thing works. Peter now armed with that, definitely going to have a better shot games 2 and possibly 3. I am pretty psyched that this match is on camera. I mean, it's such a weird deck. Curse Prison, not something that you would necessarily expect in one of Magic's most powerful formats, but it does really pose significant problems for so many of the strategies. Anything involving creatures, it's just bad news. Now, it is slow in some regards, but then you have things like this where you've got double Chrome Mox or Soul Lands coming up with 3 mana on the first turn for things like Chalice of the Void or Trinisphere. Now, Plague Engineer, not typically what you'd imagine off of this type of all-in line. It's going to stop humans. But now we've got a Dark Ritual into Helm. Helm is Force of Willed, and 2 damage comes across. The Death Touch from Plague Engineer means it's likely going to end up trading with just about anything. It does trade with a Baleful Strix, and that's not great for James. Peter in solid shape now. Ooh. Opposition Agent. Is this in response? I guess not. No, I don't know about that. We've got a Dark Ritual. And James is looking to go pedal to the metal. We've got a Recruiter of the Guard. Finding a Baleful Strix. It's going to be difficult to get that on board currently with the mana base. Oh, wow. The opposition agent's in play. You do not want to be using Recruiter of the Guard. And Peter... Oh, actually lost the feed for a second there. Recruiter of the Guard is a May effect. So Peter definitely an error there searching. These are new cards. And we've got a Teferi bouncing the opposition agent, which can come right back down. Chalice of the Void at 1. It's going to be bothersome, but this Teferi is kind of the whole story right now. You got to get that Teferi out of there before he reaches the ability to bounce another permanent. I mean, if he gets to the point where he's able to use that ability again, that is just graphic. I kind of view Teferi as like a little ticking time bomb. Once you get that second card out of him, I mean, that is a lot to deal with. The fact that he replaces himself is incredibly strong. The effect in and of itself is backbreaking versus a lot of decks. Having to play at sorcery speed, so limiting, and in fact actually blanks a lot of cards. Counterspells, for example, are just ham sandwiches until you get Teferi off of the board. If you're just drawing, Force of Wills and Force of Negations and all that stuff, it's really not doing you any good when you're facing down a Teferi. You need a board presence, and ultimately bouncing another permanent, drawing another card makes it that much harder. We have Opposition Agent uncounterably. Flicker Wisp. That gets rid of Opposition Agent for a little while. So during the end step, using Flicker Wisp to get him out of the way. He will come back during Peter's end step, but that's after a massive amount of damage has been pushed through. Opposition Agent, at best, is going to sit back and hope to block. A Force of Negation stops what I believe was an Eliminate. Teferi now with one loyalty left. And now swinging for lethal. So we're squared up a game apiece. Peter, fortunate to get out of there despite playing into Opposition Agent, a card that he actually has in his deck, it looks like, as well. I mean, he does. We just saw it. So that is just a good example of it being a important thing to get reps with the new cards. There's a lot of muscle memory that happens in Magic, and sometimes those new cards disrupt patterns that we've done hundreds of times. And all of a sudden, something like Recruiter of the Guard, the fact that you may search becomes super important. Just declining politely to not find something. Definitely the better choice when you're facing down an opposing Opposition Agent. We've got a turn 1 City of Traders into what I'm assuming is a Sorceress Spyglass. I can't make it out, but there's the hand being revealed with a whole lot of goodies. Lavinia is one of my, I shouldn't say favorite because I actually don't like the card, but I do like winning, so I play it in Vintage at times, and just making it so your opponent can't be playing those free spells. And this looks like Palaka Predation. The land that's basically it's a Inquisition of Kozilek at like 3 mana, and also can be a land. Solid with the Chrome Moxes, getting some extra value out of your mana base as well. And we see a Brainstorm in response. Peter going to hide the best options. Whew, a lot to pick from. We got Meddling Mages, Recruiter of the Guard, Baleful Strix. Man, this is a loaded hand. We'll see how Peter's mana base develops in terms of getting all of these onto the board. That City of Traders for James, not super exciting. And now Lavinia. And I'm going to pause here to read the text on Curse of Misfortunes. I don't believe you're casting anything. Yeah, it works as I expected there. You're just going to attach, so there's no casting in terms of dealing with Lavinia. And eliminate being fired off at the one of the better bears that's been printed. Force of Will protects it with Meddling Mage going to exile. Sorry. It's a late video today. Got a video a day done in 2020 with all of the craziness. Almost dropped the ball here on day number 2, is it? Of 2021. But we're getting this one done, and we'll have one for tomorrow filmed as well. Maybe the next day. We'll see how many I can get done today. Baleful Strix adding to Peter's board. I do think these names are reversed. I apologize if that's the case. I'm not sure how many people we actually had playing Curse Prison. I know there was a Peter playing Curse Prison. Cavern of Souls getting wastelanded. And Marsh Flats finding a Tundra. So pretty smooth mana here for Esper Vial, despite not having a Aether Vial out. Still going to be able to cast really anything in the deck. More damage coming across. Now, Vial doesn't have like any reach that I can think of. So, really going to need to actually get the job done. Can't rely on Burn or Chain Lightning, anything like that, like a Delver strategy might enjoy versus Prison, where even if they lock you out, you still have a chance to top deck something. I mean, it's going to need to be creatures crossing the finish line, but there's not a whole lot of turns left. Down to just one. And at this point, either curse wouldn't actually save the day. Looks like Peter's going to take this one down, barring some spectacularly unlikely situation. We'll see if this is just an immediate scoop. We've got a Chrome Mox. And now Lethal coming in. We see Curse in hand. Some other options, but just a swarm of weenies is sometimes good enough when things don't go your opponent's way, as Esper Vial ends up being more consistent for that game. That is all for this one, but don't worry, there is a lot more. You can check out our older videos, and we're always putting out new videos from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Massachusetts. If you want to help the channel, of course, you can like, subscribe, share, tap that notification bell so you can know the next time our new videos come out. Thanks for watching.